Hello and welcome to another episode of Chino and the Hills. I'm your host, Thomas Ryan, and today I am joined with someone you may have seen on Chino Hills Connections, Chino Connects, a very interesting character, to say the least, I'd say on there, and his name is Jerry Phan. We have him today. Thanks, Jerry, for joining me.
How's it going?
Good, thanks. Well, let's start off by getting to know you a little bit. Tell us kind of a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you grew up, kind of your origin story, and bringing us up to today.
Sure. My name is Jerry Phan. I was born in, Vietnam, and just like a lot of the refugee stories, we came over to the United States. I came over when I was 3, so I don't really have memories of Vietnam, but I grew up pretty much here in the United States. Um,
Where in the
yeah.
United States?
uh, at first, a lot of the Vietnamese refugees went over to Nebraska.
Okay.
And then we just started making our way west. My family did, Nebraska to Texas, and then to California. But yeah, my parents were. My mother was in medical back in Vietnam, and my father was a teacher.
Okay.
And then, when they came over, we all had to start over. And my mother became a housekeeper, and my father became a dishwasher, and then they went back to school, became engineers. So, and then let me see, grew up pretty much all around California, mostly Orange County, and
Okay.
yeah. So I guess a part of the charity thing was during the summers. Uh, my mother, they're into Catholic charities, so during the summers I would have to go overseas with my parents to live in some third world country, building huts and all that cool stuff, doing a lot of humanitarian work. And that's
Wow.
yeah,
Very
playing
cool.
with monkeys and
Yeah.
all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Any brothers or sisters growing up?
Yeah, I have one brother and one sister. Um, uh, my sister is in Washington, D.C., and my brother's here in Orange County.
Okay. So that took you Orange County through high school, and then what happened after high school with you?
Um, After high school, I just pretty much um, went to college, uh, you know, things like that. I toyed around for a couple of years, and then yeah, I got a scholarship into college in athletics and
What sport?
volleyball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was very fortunate that at my height, at 5'7", I kind of focused on playing defense, and then it was just the timing was just perfect. A new position had came out for the very first year called the libero.
Yeah, I was
Which,
gonna say you must have been a libero.
so it was a yeah. So I was a defensive specialist,
Yeah.
um, and then that once that position came out and hit college, um, it opened the doors for smaller players to get scholarships, even though very limited.
Sure.
But you have to be, you know, uh, better than everybody else at playing defense.
Yeah, you got to be lower to the ground so you can get them right off the floor. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Loyola Marymount, and then
Okay.
afterwards, after that 9/11 hit, and then I finished Loyola, and then I wanted to do something to serve our country more, so I went to Embry-Riddle.
Okay.
And, I went into their national security and also an aerospace engineering program.
Okay. And then what was next from there?
Uh, I I went to play volleyball overseas.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Where?
yeah, I went to play in Australia, France, Italy, and then I came back. Most of the time I played in Australia.
Okay.
Returned there 2 seasons. So
Very nice. Now, obviously, you're sitting there in a hangar right now, and we
yeah.
all know you as a pilot and stuff like that. So when did that enter into your life? And what was kind of the
Um,
inspiration with it?
uh, it was at Embry-Riddle.
Okay.
Well, I always wanted to fly. My uncle was a pilot, and
Okay.
then I was just always interested in aviation. And I listened. The one of life's lessons is that I learned was just don't let people stop you from chasing your dreams just because they stop chasing theirs. So I listened to people who said that I was too short to fly, and I believed it. And
Hmm.
then once I really looked into it, I found out that the rules in aviation is you can't be too tall because the cockpit is very small.
That's
And
what I always heard. Yeah.
yeah, even though the seat adjusts, there's a height limit and there's a minimum and a maximum. And I'm just right at the perfect threshold, which they want.
Okay.
So,
So
which
you
is
just,
ideal for flight.
yeah. So you just kind of started taking lessons and then started flying, or?
Yeah, I started taking lessons and I volunteer with the Coast Guard Auxiliary, all that stuff. And but I went to Riddle, do some flying as well. And yeah, I got my ratings there. It was pretty tough, a lot tougher than your regular flight schools. So,
Sure.
and then you know, just like everybody else, I thought about quitting because over there it's very intense. And but I saw that there were basically I had a friend who was she had cancer.
Okay.
And, I had it too when I was younger, and also later on I found out too. But for her, she had cancer. We were close friends. She was another pilot, and she was also an Embry-Riddle student, and but
Okay.
she was before me, and she
Okay.
finished before me as well. Anyways, yeah, I went with her to treatment and stuff, and saw how tough it was. And she passed away my senior year at my final year at Embry-Riddle,
Hmm.
and but during that whole time, um, I saw how tough the travel was for her and her friends and people who she talked to in her support group and all that stuff. So the motivation came from, uh, the motivation changed from aviation to look for adventure, to get chicks and all that stuff. um, it started going to, maybe I can fly and still help people. And then I went back to that humanitarian mindset that's kind of ingrained to me when I was younger as well. Um, yeah, and then once she passed away, I didn't want her memory to go to nothing. So um, I thought to keep it alive by one of the things to keep it alive by helping those who needed it. So I began flying cancer patients in Arizona, from Prescott, Arizona, to Mayo Clinic, and then my roommate and I, we were two broke students living off ramen.
Yeah.
Um, and my sister was a political figure going to Africa back and forth. She was in international law and all that stuff, and she helped countries. There were countries in Africa that actually donated for me to pay for fuel and renting an aircraft because they heard about what I started doing. So that helped take care of a lot of flights. And yeah.
And those were patients here in the United States just going to maybe better hospitals in a different state than which they lived.
Yeah, or Phoenix, because or different areas of Arizona.
Okay.
Prescott is like just this mountain town,
Sure.
and it's roughly an hour and a half to Phoenix, and then an hour and a half or something to Flagstaff, which are where the two main hospitals are. Mayo Clinic and is in Scottsdale and Arizona. They have two campuses. So it's that drive alone can oftentimes be up to 4 hours. So it's on your GPS, it'll say like an hour and a half, but
Right.
it's it's a I mean, if you have traffic, and then it's the winding mountain roads that a lot of them couldn't take.
Right.
Um, when they did drive, they would drive for about 20 minutes, stop and take a break, and then continue on.
Right. Which made the journey much longer, I imagine.
Yeah, and then they would stop on the side of the road and they would vomit and things like that
Yeah.
because they couldn't handle the turns. And so yeah, so then I just started flying one, and then it just kind of spread like wildfire, kind of, and yeah.
Got it. Okay. So what you were flying other people's planes, I assume, at that point in time?
Yeah, some people let me borrow, or they would come with me
Okay.
with the time. Yeah.
And now do you own your own plane? Do you rent? What are you flying these days?
Yeah, these days I'm flying my Diamond Katana. There's roughly, I think, 12 to 20 left in the United States.
Oh wow.
So I was very fortunate to get this one from some farmer. But my first aircraft that I bought when I finished school, all that stuff, I got my job, got my career started, and I saved up enough, and I bought a Piper 140 airplane, and I bought it off eBay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, all my friends thought I was nuts.
Did it
You know,
come in pieces and you had to put it together?
no, no. um, yeah, I checked his feedback and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it turned out to be an Apple Valley.
Okay.
Um, and the plane was like gorgeous. The guy took care of it really well. Um, I told my friends that were pilots and had their plane, hey guys, I found something. Can you go help me? Can we fly up there and take a look at it? It's in Apple Valley, and another thing, it's on eBay.
Yeah.
So they thought I was a little bit insane, but we went up there anyways, and it turned out to be a really beautiful airplane. Uh, the the story with that is it was owned by a politician, and I guess some of the people didn't agree with it. I don't know. He was a really nice guy. I got along fine with him. And anyways, but how I knew that was when he opened up his hangar doors, he had this giant vote for him sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, he was selling it. He really babied that thing. It was a 1976 Piper 140, and in aviation, 1976 is relatively new.
Okay. Gotcha.
And yeah, the paint job was, I think it was 6 months old, and it was like about a $10,000 paint job. Um, and it was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And yeah, I, I, it um, took a lot of thinking to make that first leap, because this is an airplane I'm buying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Airplane, where's it going to be stored? It's not like you can just, throw it on the side of your house or something like that. So,
exactly, exactly. So I chose Fullerton just because just my friends were here, and I flew it down to Fullerton. Um, yeah, and we kept it here for a while, and it was great.
and that leads me to kind of my next question. Obviously, you've been in and out of the Chino airport. So
Mhm.
what that's the connection that we have for you to the Chino Hills area. Tell us about kind of how long I assume you've had your plane there,
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
that that connection that has driven you to the Chino Hills area.
yeah. I got rid of the Piper. Long story with that, but anyways,
Yeah.
uh, I was looking for another aircraft, um, uh, and this one was also on eBay.
Of course.
but he had taken it off, and years later, when I ended up looking for an airplane again, I saved his contact, uh, called him up. He was a retired what is it, America West at the time,
Okay.
employee, so he gets free flights. He retired, bought a farm, and then he was just going back and forth, growing his crops or something. But he kept this plane in Tucson, and it was just, you know, um, it was sitting in the sun for a while, and um, uh, but yeah, I went down there and I had to have it because the Katana was actually the first cool airplane that I flew after flight school from Embry-Riddle.
Okay.
I just fell in love with it, but they were just so hard to find. They're so rare in the United States. So
Interesting. Is it what's the person capacity in it? Tell us a little bit about the some of the specs, and obviously kind of dumb down normal person terms, but
Yeah. Yeah. So the specs are basically, it's not very powerful. But it's extremely fuel efficient.
mm,
So what that means is my Piper 140 can seat four, and it fits. I'm sorry, and it's made out of metal. Um, it's also heavy. So the engine is twice the power of this one
mm,
almost. It was 150 horsepower, but it also carried more weight, but it was also a lot heavier.
sure.
With this one, it's made out of composite, and it's actually in the history channel. Was that how it's made?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. So they show the katana. It was one of the first trainers of using composite materials to bake an aircraft in an oven,
Yeah.
like Donald Duck, one episode. Um, yeah. So they some people call it the fantastic plastic. So, so the difference between this one and a regular aircraft is this one, it has smooth, round edges for the aerodynamic flow to flow around, and it's considered very clean.
Okay.
So, uh, so it slips through the air very smoothly, and it doesn't need that much horsepower. So, at the time, Rotax, the snowmobile company or whatever, the motorcycle, they started experimenting and developing engines for aircrafts. And this is one of the first certified aircrafts that they put it in. They put it in ultralights and things like that.
Okay.
For those things, you don't need a license, but for a regular manufactured certified aircraft, um, they had to do a lot of testing and they came out with this engine. It was 80 horsepower. And the reason why um, most of them are gone from the United States because at one point, well, still, Europe's fuel prices were astronomical. It was just, through the roof.
Yeah.
No one was flying, so they had Cessnas and Pipers, and none of them could fly because in regular aircrafts use 100 low lead fuel and it has lead in it. Whereas the Rotax engine is able to run on any fuel
Okay.
meaning that I actually just run to Costco and I can get I don't even need premium. I can just get regular car gas
Wow.
and put it in. And
How many gallons for a full tank?
this one holds 20
Oh
gallons. It's
yeah.
not point something, but I just round it off to 20.
Yeah.
But uh, so it's super fuel efficient that it can run on any gas,
Yeah.
uh, but it burns half the fuel as a Cessna, but it flies faster than a Cessna 172.
Hmm.
It's the most common trainers in America.
Oh,
It was originally built to compete against Cessna.
got it. Got it.
And
Okay. So
yeah, they simplified the controls, all that
yeah.
stuff.
Got it. Okay. Well, so tell us about, I obviously have seen you on Facebook and some of the social media channels and stuff like that, and some of the cool kind of things you're doing in our local community, and obviously because you're a pilot, you can stretch that to a further community. I see
Yeah,
recently you've been delivering like masks or medical equipment to, I believe, Arizona or New Mexico. Is that right? Tell me about that one.
yeah, Arizona. So
Okay.
a long time ago, like I was treated at Mayo Clinic. They were really great to me and to other patients as well. So I kind of heard through the grapevine, the inner circle, the cancer inner
Yeah.
circle.
Sure.
Um, they were in need of. There were many hospitals, cancer centers, and I just wanted to. There are many places, but I kind of just wanted to dwindle it down and focus on a few. That way, I can get the job done and done right. So, so Phoenix Children's Hospital, their cancer care, and also Mayo Clinic, they were in need of masks and PPEs. And so I called them and let them know that how many, I asked them how many do you need, um, and they let me know. Uh, I asked around and I said, oh man, I'll just use social media. I'll just ask. Maybe I'll get a few hundred or something, a couple hundred at the most. And then it turns out that Peggy from the quilting group. Um, Her group got together and made hundreds and hundreds, and we actually reached the number that they actually needed. And there were also um, several other people, Mario and other people donated masks that contributed to the numbers and that I delivered there. Yeah.
Very neat. Very neat. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Also seen that you have done some missions with Pilots and Paws. Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about that and how you got involved there and what exactly that entails.
Yeah. Well, I guess I fly for several organizations. Pilots and Paws is an organization where if there's a dog or a cat, or it's, I think my friend flew a chinchilla,
Okay.
but it's basically adopting pets, and the people who want to adopt are far away, or sometimes there are natural disasters where there are lost pets and the owners just can't be found. And um, Pilots and Paws would also help transport them. It's just an organization that puts out this bulletin, and it has a map, and then you can see which route you want to pick, and all that stuff. In my case, my friend and I, we chose to fly these dogs from Hurricane Harvey.
Oh, okay.
They, yeah. So I had another friend. He works for the airlines. His company flew to Texas to pick up a bunch of the lost pets, and they loaded up this aircraft with hundreds and hundreds. I don't know how many.
Like a commercial aircraft?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
They
Gotcha.
loaded it up with these. They emptied it out. They took out the seats, and they loaded up with these. What are those carrier
Yeah.
things for the dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they loaded up with dogs, and they flew it back. And he says that the plane smelled good when they started, and then when they ended, it stunk.
Yeah, I imagine.
But it's okay. But you know, they brought back all these dogs. Um, it, to Phoenix, and then from Phoenix they spread out, and yeah, and then some of them went to California, and then from California, a friend of mine, he goes, "Yeah, let's do this." And I said, "Okay," because we both have dogs,
Yeah.
and we started flying these beagles. There's these two beagles. They were like, I think they were sisters or something. So they were.
Were they good passengers?
Yeah, yeah. I was surprised. Because I've flown my dog, but that's I know my dog, but yeah, you know um so my friend we used my friend's plane. Um, on some of the organizations were kind of near where I worked at the time, so then I would go pick them up by car, and then I would take these little puppies back, and then overnight, and then the next morning we'd load them up and then fly them, and then we'd let the family know. The family would meet us at the airport, and then we give them a puppy, and
Very
then
nice.
it's picture time, and then the pictures are kind of our own memories.
Yeah.
So
Very cool. Now, you don't just fly pets around. You've been known to do some of these impromptu flights with people from the community as of, well, probably prior to coronavirus and whatnot. But you would just post something and ask someone if they want to go on a flight to somewhere relatively close. Tell us a little bit about that and kind of some of the places you've gone and maybe a favorite trip you've done with someone from the community.
yeah. So like, I know when I was flying has just always been my passion, even when I was a little kid. So I know what it was, how it feels to be that kid at the fence, and
Mm,
and so since my friends and I were real passionate towards aviation, and we just love sharing it with
sure.
others, just seeing like their faces, and giving them the controls, and go, putting into a dive and seeing what they do.
Yeah.
I think a couple others, I did a loop or a barrel roll, kind of scared them out. But it's
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, so sometimes I enjoy um, doing things like taking an adventure out to Arizona or New Mexico or Northern California, Oregon, or something like that. And a lot of times, there's an empty seat if I'm not going with my friends or girlfriend or whatever. And so I just figure, why not just share my passion and just give that empty seat to somebody.
Pretty
And
cool.
yeah, uh, there are other things we do. Like um, uh, I had some members of the group come over and they washed my plane, and then I would give them rides, and then I would. It wasn't like I just gave them a ride. I was teaching them about aviation, so we
Sure.
spent time talking about the engine, the what makes a plane fly, the control surfaces, and teach them how everything works. And it wasn't to just watch the plane. It was to do something to teach them responsibility, but to inspire them more and more in aviation. So yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh,
Where's your, go ahead.
oh, and I think you were going to say, where's the trip?
Yeah, I mean, where have you gone? And well, my next question was going to be kind of where has been your either your favorite place to fly to, just in general,
Yeah.
or your favorite flight ever, or something like that.
Um, well, with the Chino group, I like
Yeah.
flying to, I like flying with somebody to, there's a place called Alpha 20 Sun Valley, Arizona. And we land there, and it's just a small community airport. And then there's some car key. Oh man, okay. Well, I'll give out where the car keys are hidden. The car keys are hidden on top of the fridge. so, so it's a small town. Usually, when pilots land in a small town or something, there's always a car that
Okay.
they let you borrow.
Oh wow.
Well, in this case, the keys are on top of the fridge. You just yeah, you put a post-it note if you can.
Yeah.
Be right back.
Yeah.
Um,
$10 for gas.
yeah, you just put the gas that you use.
Yeah.
Um, I like flying out there because we go into a small town nearby called Oakland, and it's full of these burros, like
Okay.
wild burros.
Yeah, I've
So
seen this.
yeah, so then they'll come up to your car and stick their head in. You could feed them, and it's just a really neat, fun experience. Um, yeah, and then you get the sunset of uh, the natural landscapes of Arizona.
Mm,
I
yeah.
mean, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's a burro there that his name is Pickles, and then you can do high fives. So you just say high five and stick
Yeah.
your foot out, and then he'll like tap his hoof on yours like on
That's
command.
it's pretty neat.
Yeah, and other things like Catalina and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But what's your favorite place you've ever flown, or favorite flight you've ever done, or something like that?
Um, I don't know. I've flown to Canada, and I've flown all the way to the East Coast. Those were fun flights.
Yeah.
The flying to the east was when I got my plane. I let my boss know I was taking some time off because I wanted to see how far I can go.
Yeah.
And he was just like, Jerry, that's a new plane. I go, Dad, don't worry about it. So yeah. So anyways, yeah, I just kept calling him and saying, yeah, I'll just take another few days, and I just kept going. See, what was it cool? Louisiana was a cool one
Oh,
because
okay.
they had a I'm a bit of a foodie guy, so they had a jambalaya competition.
Oh, good timing.
Yeah, and I flew in there. I saw it on Food TV too.
Okay.
So I flew in there just about the time when they had the jambalaya competition, and they were really cool. And I found out that I flew in there just to check it out, but I was also roaming around for fun, just flying across the country. And they made me a judge. Yeah, and then after the competition, when everything was over, they all boxed up a bunch of jambalayas left in these boxes for me.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just one or two; it was like almost every participant,
Yeah.
and it really weighed down my aircraft. And then some of them went to the airport to see me off, and then they helped me load it on, and I loaded this thing, and my plane was super heavy, and I'm running down that runway calculating. Well, I calculated the weight in my head if the FAA is listening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like saying to myself, please take off, please take off.
Yeah.
But it was a long enough runway, and I had a pretty slow climb, and I took off, and I landed at a nearby airport, and I just found some people. You guys want some jambalaya?
Yeah.
And I gave them out because as much as I wanted to take them, oh man, well, I didn't tell any of them, any of the people who made the jambalaya, but it just really weighed down my aircraft. But
Yeah.
so I gave it to some locals at a nearby airport. And, I said, yeah, and but they understood that it weighed down my aircraft a
Right.
lot.
Yeah.
So
They helped you out by eating the jambalaya for you.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then the more they ate, the more fuel I can take on into my aircraft.
There you go.
So yeah, so that was a cool one.
Yeah. Pretty neat. Now, I also noticed on your Facebook profile that you are a comedy writer for the Groundlings Theater. What is the
Yeah.
Groundlings Theater, and what is that exactly?
Oh, it's in LA. So a lot of people come out of Groundlings. It's like Will Ferrell and things like that.
Like an improv type theater, or
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So then I was writing under um, my mentor, Guy Stevenson. He's really cool. He's one of the writers for Mad TV
Okay.
and Reno 911. And I specifically wanted him because um, the shows that he wrote for were my favorite shows,
Yeah.
which is Reno 911 and Mad TV. So.
Yeah. Good stuff. Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, circling back to our community here, what's your favorite part of the Chino Hills community?
Um, it's mostly the people, the quality of people that is in the group, and the quality of people outside, like in real life. So I found that traveling across the United States, nothing really beats the hospitality of a small hometown or a small town. They're just great people. It's you really get to see what America is.
Yeah.
And Chino just has that. The Chino Hills has that. The group just has that. When somebody needs something, everybody comes in. There's not really a bunch of trollers or just posting. Um, there's nothing really demeaning.
Yeah.
Everybody in that group is really good at helping each other out, and it has that hometown feel in a social media group. So
Yeah. Makes sense. It's been a common.
Hard to explain. It has that feel.
Yeah, that's been a common theme. I've asked that question to a number of people, and people have kind of come up with that. The people most definitely have been the most positive impact in the community, and ultimately that's what makes it up. So, is there anything that I should have asked you about? Any special projects? Anything you have coming up? Any other cool adventures you have coming? Can we help out with any of your PPE missions or anything like that?
Right now, until my plane gets back up, probably in a few days, we're just I'm just redoing the numbers and the paint scheme to an anime when I was growing up. It's that design.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, Chino has actually been doing everything that they needed to and helping me out so far. I've had everybody from the biggest thing is like when I've been on deployments, it's I can't tell you how like it's very inspiring when I was deployed and we were in the desert, roasting in the desert. This was in the United States, but we were dealing with uh, I can't really discuss that.
Sure. Yeah. Understood.
But yeah, so but I was with my crew, and I was the senior, and I had guys to take care of all that stuff, and we're in the middle of nowhere, away from home, and it's after the first month, and I don't know, some people in the Chino Hills group contacted some people, and a couple times, one of them in a nearby town, they just happened to have a nearby town, came over and made us a home cooked meal, and it was we didn't get on duty until I think 11. Yeah, and they fed everybody. And then another one, um, another time, another lady, her and her husband baked a really good dinner for myself and my friends, and they mailed it. They froze it.
Oh
They
wow.
actually froze it in a pouch,
Yeah.
and they knew that it'll take several days to thaw, just enough to reach our duty station. And it reached our duty station, and yeah, and it was really good to just have a home cooked meal, especially, I mean, for me, yeah, but for some of the younger guys, the newer guys who, this is their first deployment away from home.
Yeah.
It was, it gave us, uh, it gave us that inspiration, that motivation of why we're here.
Got it. Got
Mhm.
it. Very cool. Very cool. Well, I appreciate you taking some time out from fixing up the plane and
Yeah,
all that good stuff. We will look forward to more adventures. If we can help out in
good.
the community, let us know. I'm sure you will, and I'm sure we'd be glad to help you out with any of these cool missions you've had.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
if anybody would like to reach you, have questions about flights and stuff like that, where would be the best place to do so? I assume Facebook, or are you
Yeah, they can just message me.
okay?
I'm pretty good with it. Most people do. Yeah, there was like I think there was a lady who recently. Her dad was in hospice, and so we got him out and we got him flying around. He was an old aviator, and I changed course and took him to hang out with my other friends that are other aviators. So he got to hang out with pilots again, and I, that was a really good. And I think that made his day.
Yeah,
Just
good.
being around a bunch of pilots, and yeah,
Talk shop a little bit. Yeah, very
yeah,
neat. Very
yeah,
neat.
pretty much.
Good deal. Well, thanks again for taking your time out and joining us. I'm sure a lot
You're
of
welcome.
people have, like myself, have kind of wondered and wanted to dive deeper into kind of all the things you do. So I appreciate you being
Yeah,
open to doing those things, and appreciate you coming on. To the viewers and listeners, thanks for listening in to another episode of Chino and the Hills. Until next time, have a great day. Bye.
thank you.
Okay, we jumped off real quick, and then Jerry came back and said, "Oh, I forgot this other great story, and I wanted you guys to hear it." So, Jerry, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, so I flew to this small town south of the border, and the aviation fuel there was contaminated. So, and my plane, fortunately, can run on any gas.
Right.
So, and I had these gas tanks in my plane just in case of emergencies. So I was walking to town, it was hot and everything, and I found this guy with a burro, a donkey. So I asked him
Common
if he could
theme
help me
here is you and
with
donkeys and
donkey.
burros,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
So, so I paid him. I gave him $20, and we went to the gas station. We filled up my gas tanks, and he helped me take it back to the airport. And everybody was like, can we let this donkey on?" And they let us on. They let the burro on, and then we refilled my plane. And yeah,
The
so
versatility of your plane saved you down south of the border this time.
yeah, yeah,
Very cool. Well, I just wanted everybody else to hear that. I thought that was a pretty funny story, and the donkey
yeah,
theme runs through with Jerry and his adventures.
yeah.
All right.